is Jessica Webster.
And this is Sam Pogue of the Fitness Break Room podcast. Sit back, take a well-deserved break, and learn about the journey that helps shape the most successful fitness professionals in the industry today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pogue. We're here in Los Angeles with my lovely partner, Jessica Webster.
I love when he calls me lovely.
Lovely.
You should hear what he says when the cameras are off. It's terrible.
It's brutal.
So mean.
And the sensual, beautiful Mr. Cody Storey.
Pretty beautiful.
Pretty
must
beautiful.
say.
Guys, I'm really excited to bring Cody onto the show and share his journey with y'all. He had the opportunity to be in the room with me while I was trying to write the ebook and got to draw a lot of inspiration from his story as I got to know him. And it's really awesome to be able to, sit down with you and be able to talk it out.
Yeah, man.
So we had the opportunity to meet in May of this year.
In an amazing city, I must say.
Yeah.
Austin,
You hated
Texas.
Austin.
Yeah. I was at the spring every day.
Every day.
After the seminar, right to the water hole, get in the springs. And I mean, I had a blast there. I love it. Beautiful place.
You got to come back and visit more often.
I'm trying, man, but I gotta run things a little bit
it's like
too,
you have a business owner, like taking vacations is a novel thing.
I'm trying to work that into the plan.
There you go. So Cody and I have an interesting path of history, not that because we've known each other a long time, but because Cody was involved with an education system that John Wolf from On It also used to belong to, and that's how they met. And so we finally had the opportunity to get in touch with each other recently and learn about each other. And it's been like this. Fitness is really small when you start getting into it, and it really isn't as big as you think. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got into fitness.
Okay. Well, I was born in Phoenix, Arizona, in the desert, but it wasn't there very long. So I really grew up in Basalt, Colorado, which is about 15 minutes downriver from Aspen. A lot of people do know that name. So if you wanted to figure out where I was in Colorado, I'm on the other side of the hills in high country. So a lot of outdoor activities, lots of sports, and a lot of winter sports, which was what became my thing. So how did I get into fitness and being a coach and now being an owner of Storey Fitness? It's been a long journey. It's been amazing. There's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and a lot of in-betweens. And that's what I'm shooting for now, is those in-betweens. But it started out where, as a kid, you're supposed to go to school and like do these things, put backpacks on, wear sneakers, and, go sit in a brick room with a couple windows. And I'm in the middle of Colorado. There's mountains everywhere. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The air is really pure compared to Los Angeles, where I live now. And I'm doing this thing, which is like this system. And I really didn't do well there. I actually did really bad in school. And what happened was I didn't fit per se in the structure, and I found that my outlet was actually sport. So I started to get involved with your traditional style sports like soccer, basketball, football, wrestling, early on a little bit of gymnastics, a little bit of martial art. But it was interesting. It was like going and sitting in school and knowing what was out there, and then experiencing what I was able to do in those sports. It was freedom, and that's what I think deep down inside, I wanted to be free. And that's what I really help people do today, is become free within themselves on an interpersonal level, but then also free within their bodies physically. So when I started to gravitate towards the sport, that was where like my whole world opened up. And I would say my first introduction to training was actually training dogs. I used to study VHS tapes, and then I would take my dogs to the park.
Oh, wow.
And then I would just start seeing, wow, they're able to learn. And I didn't really do so well in the learning realm other than when I used my body. So I was already becoming, able to train, say it was an animal, but then I was able to see like I can be trained by coaches and get involved in these sports. And that was like the turning point where I was just like, all right, this is my thing. And then extreme sports came in later, and snowboarding was my thing. I mean, I was raised where you start skiing when you're 2. You know what I mean? So we started early on, and snowboarding was a big thing when I was 13. And it was still a little bit of rebellious and whatnot, and it wasn't really accepted on all of the mountains. It was just skiing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Aspen Mountain didn't even allow snowboarding. when I got going. It was too rebellious, too counterculture.
Whoa, you are aging yourself, just FYI.
It's all good,
Okay.
baby. I'm 35 and I'm going to own it. I'm 35 and I'm thriving. So
Sounds like an angsty teen movie, you know? No snowboarders allowed.
yeah, that's the way it was, you know. But that's kind of what happened again when I went back to school. It was like I fit in when I'm playing basketball or soccer and whooping some ass in that realm. And I, did that because it did something inside for me. And you click with people, but then all of a sudden I'm doing this, thing that's looked at like mysterious and, oh, they're the bad people or they're the bad guys. Oh, you skateboard or oh, you snowboard. So then going back to school, I was just like, oh, just like an outcast again. But what was interesting, and this is kind of the rough part about it, was like a lot of the kids that I played, those sports with, I really did develop relationships that I liked with them. And then all of a sudden, those relationships that I developed started to fall away because my interest was all about snowboarding. So that led me into, I was 17 years old. So I started at 13, and then by the time I was 17, I started getting sponsorships. And then I became second place in the nation in the U.S. At that time, I got invited to be on the Junior Worlds team.
Nice.
And
what events?
This was slopestyle. That was what I was second in the nation for. But I really loved big air competitions. Like early on, half pipe was my thing. But as soon as like slopestyle got bigger, and then when it was, obviously those big air competitions and whatnot, I loved it. But this was prior to doing like triple corks and things like that. This was like the frontier era in which people are doing like rodeo sevens and whatnot. And that was like super elite at that time. So I was tapping into this thing, and that was the other part of my studying. Like I said, I didn't do good with books. I didn't do good sitting in the desk, but I started seeing they were coming out with all these VHS tapes for snowboarding. And I was like, damn, I did that with dogs, and I was able to actually make progress and have these animals that I love being around, and they're very disciplined, and people really enjoyed that as well. So my studying was actually when I would go home and I would just sit and I would look at the style of each person that I looked up to in that realm. Each person had their own way of going about, even if it was the same trick. And then I saw in competition, that's actually what could distinguish me from, say, getting a gold medal, a silver, or a bronze, is even if we did the same exact run or the same tricks, it came down to style. And now I see with movement, style comes later. And I started learning about movement complexity without going to college and without, studying under professors and things of that nature. I mean, I dropped out when I was a junior, never been to college in any of that capacity. But that was my education. It was through the physical realm. It was through using my body. And what was interesting is now I can see if I train with club bells or I train with kettlebells or gymnastic rings, it's you start with the basics, you build a foundation. And a simple way to describe that is 180, right? Turns into 360, 360 turns into 540, 540, 720, 900. So that was something I didn't know was taking place, or if I was doing trampoline work in, say, a gymnastics class or whatnot. But it was already being put in my brain. So the transfer, when I got into the fitness world, it actually had a lot of carryover for me. So cut to the chase, that was early on. And then I got wrapped up in the party life. Like I said, it was rebellious, and I really liked the party lifestyle. I liked living in the fast lane. My ego did feed on, not really clicking in the school environment, but now I'm on podiums. I got gold medals. I'm getting recognition. I have sponsorships, and people were giving me things for free just to represent their product, right? So at a young age, I didn't really know what to do with that. So it all went to my head to a degree. And I lacked humility, and the next thing you know, I got wrapped up in wanting all these material things outside of myself. Then I got an injury. I've had my whole shoulder rebuilt, and that's when things started spiraling downhill, and that was when I was around 18 years old. So I had influences of strength and conditioning coaching. I had all the sports, those coaches and whatnot. And 18 years old, crash and burn, but that didn't stop me, Then I moved to Vancouver. You're from Canada, right?
I live there now. I'm from San Diego.
Okay, so I moved to Vancouver, and I did that for about 2 years. And inside, I really didn't want to throw snowboarding away because of what it was doing for me and how much I loved and enjoyed it. But the pull to the dark side, so to speak, was very strong. So once I moved out of Colorado and went up to Vancouver, I could start to feel myself, getting distant from snowboarding. And I actually went up there to study engineering for music and realized I'm not the type of dude that could, number one, like I said, sit in a class and then I'm going to go try to sit and be an engineer, which is in another confined little box that's really dark for like 16 hours a day, learning how to like work boards and produce music and whatnot. And I was just like, man, I just boxed myself in again, because I knew I was throwing the snowboarding apart, and that's what was really killing me.
Yeah.
And that's what led me deeper into that whole party world. So 2 years up there, and then that was it, man. I ran through Vancouver within 2 years and wound up back in Colorado. And same thing happened. I moved back, and it didn't matter where I went, there I was, So I'm in Colorado another 2 years, and I was like, I got to get out of here. One of my brothers lived in Brooklyn. The other one was out here in Los Angeles. And I was like, well, maybe I could go to Brooklyn because I like New York, especially the music world. But he moved out here to live with my other brother, and I was like, okay, that kind of makes the decision a little awkward but easy. And so I was like, maybe I'll try this Los Angeles thing, and I never really spent much time here. And I remember I threw all my stuff in my car and just drove out here. And there again, I thought maybe the change of moving to Los Angeles would be the thing, and I could get back on the path and have a beautiful life like I saw everybody else around me having. And it didn't pan out that way. You know, I wound up actually living on the streets, on rooftops and in the back seat of a car. And I wound up showering and shaving and doing all that stuff at 24 Hour Fitness. And that was part of one of the things I remember we talked about in your crib. And I didn't know that was the beginning of stepping out of the whole athlete realm, which there was a lot of, like I said, ego tied to that, and getting into the service work of actually coaching people and trying to help people get in touch with their potential. So that was kind of the long/short version of how I wound up in 24 Hour Fitness, but I needed an outlet. And at 23 years old, I was here maybe about a year in LA. And that was when I finally hit like rock bottom of all rock bottoms and was introduced to a recovery program. And now I'm in a recovery program. I'm clean and sober, and I don't know what to do with my life because I'm not a snowboarder anymore. I threw that away. I don't have any degrees or diplomas. Never did college, like I said. And I don't have any real trades because I had odds and ends jobs, but like snowboarding was my job. So I would do construction work, frame houses, dig ditches. I would do marble work and work with different stones and whatnot, but that like wasn't my thing. Or I worked in a hospital for a couple of years. I was like, this is not who I am at all. So I didn't have any trade. So I was stuck in this major dilemma. Now my whole life shifted. It's the best it's ever been on the inside, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. But, I got to put a roof over my head now. I got to put food on the table. And I was like, what am I going to do next? So it was funny that I wound up actually using that 24 Hour Fitness to keep clean and all that. And I started developing relationships because the manager kept seeing me in there every single day. And I would train, like, even though I was living out there a pretty wild life to the average foe, I'm in there and I'm training, I'm just doing my thing. And I was introduced to the bodybuilding world, and that happened in Colorado a little bit. A lot of cowboys out there, and we used to read those like muscle, fitness magazines, and like get all the different programs from there. And you got the old veteran like cowboy guy that's like giving you tips in the gym. And now I'm in LA, and I'm using that same methodology because it wasn't really that like outdoors conditioning running through the hills anymore like Colorado. So I'm doing this bodybuilding phase, and once I got sober, I was like, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do with my life as far as business, career, and financials. Because I can go get odds and ends jobs. Like I'm a hard worker, no matter what, no matter how hard my life has ever been at any time, pain or not, I'm going to work and work my tail off. So it was cool. I built these relationships unbeknownst to me. And I just started praying. I just was like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Which way do you want me to go? Who am I supposed to meet? How can I, give back? Because people were giving to me so freely and sharing their experiences with me. And it started to really transform my mind, So it was cool that it just came one day. I was in the middle of a workout. I was doing some chest presses, of course. And that was like every day. And I'm looking at this girl, and she was training somebody, And I've been praying for quite a few months by now. And I just remember I was like, wow, the thought came. It was like, you know what? You could do that. It looks like she's making a living off of it. She was having fun with who she was training. They were really connecting. And I could see that the person she was working with was really benefiting on the inside and the outside. And that was that thought. It was just one thought. And it was just like, you could do that. But again, I had that issue of I'm an athlete. I'm used to having coaches work with me. But it didn't matter at that point. It was just, let's do this. And from there on out, I started seeking counsel from one of the managers. I got rejected 3 times. I went to 3 different interviews at that 24-hour fitness. Damon was the manager, I remember. And I didn't have any certs or anything. I was just like, dude, I've been doing this a long time on my own, and I know how to work with people, and I can do it. And he's just like, nope, you don't have NASM, you don't have NCSF, you don't have any of these like standard certifications.
Right.
So I went and I just did it so I could actually get the job. And then finally, once I had it, they're like, all right, now you can work here. So they put me through, the ringer, and I had to wear a business suit on the 3rd one and everything, or the 4th one. And then, it's funny, I failed the first NASM test as well.
Yeah.
I've never done well in that world. But when it comes to like working with people and connecting, like, let's go. Like, I love that. That's probably the most fulfillment I get today with what I get to do with others in terms of how I can help them. So there you go.
That's a
I could
great
keep
story.
going on for another, hour, but
I'm interested to know because I know a lot of the men that we work with, men and women, we work with a lot of men though, have this problem with traditional school.
Yeah.
I know I did. I think you did also. You had some issues in university. How did that not just get you down? Like, what kept you going when everyone was telling you, no, this is the way people are supposed to be, and you're just like, but we're in the matrix right now, and this doesn't make sense, and that makes sense. Like, how did you deal with this on your own?
Well, I was able to spend my time and my energy in snowboarding. Like, that was my savior, really. I bought all those beliefs. I bought that I'm stupid. I bought that I'm not enough. I bought that I can't do what other people can do in that capacity. I can't use my mind like them. So I went all in with my physical being, that side of me, which I believe we're spirit. I believe we're this consciousness, and we're in this meat suit, right? So I got really good at using the meat suit, but I didn't know that I was studying. Like, it wasn't like I'm at school, And when I didn't have that feeling of like I'm at school, I was just a sponge. So how did I deal with it? It's just like I took it on, and it really hurt. I believed everything that the teachers told me. The doctor said I had ADD, ADHD, I'm dyslexic. I got all these tests to prove it now because I went to the doctor to do them. And that just kind of like added to it. And then when I go to school, like, I can't read in front of people. I can't read it all. So they put me in like special ed classes. And so I got really good at actually manipulating the system to make it look like I can actually get a grade. So I became good at working with people, but in a capacity that didn't really serve me as a person. It didn't make me a better person to manipulate people and start being able to like take tests with the book open. So I didn't have to develop that side of me at all when it came to books and memorizing things and taking tests. Like, still, I'm probably horrible at it. But that's not who I am. But I bought into it, and I started to believe that's who I was. And the cool thing is, being restored to more truths over time, I've been able to, later in life, start actually working on and exposing, inventorying all these limiting beliefs. So that was the way I coped with it, is I didn't cope with it well. I just went deeper into the darker realms of life. And I had to bottom out until I suffered enough and was in enough pain for a change to take place, which I think was divine intervention. And what's interesting is once that occurred, the thing that I love the most is actually learning. Like, I love being a student of life. I love being a student of the mind. Like, it's just phenomenal, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, if you want to get out there. But somebody told me, I remember, he's like, Cody, it's okay to have your head in the clouds. Just keep your feet on earth, So I didn't cope with it really well. I spiraled out for sure. And now it's 180 degrees. It's completely different.
There's some awesome truths in these paradoxes of life, right? And I think that's great. What resource would you point people to if they wanted to start battling some of these limiting beliefs?
You know, resources, I love humans, you know. I love doing what we're doing. Like you being here right now, I study you when you walk through the door. Like I'm looking at what you do. I'm looking at how you live. I'm looking behind the outside stuff. So resources for me, the biggest changer, and I mean that's how I've connected to, you know, universal intelligence or the source, whatever you want to call it, because I didn't have that connection. Like I maybe had it when I was a really young kid, and then, you know, I just went the other way and I lost that connection. So I've got reconnected to something greater than myself, and that's happened through my number one resource, which happens to be other people. So I really learn well through people who've gone before me and already walked through the trenches, and they've already been shoveling coal, you know, and they have the experience, they have strength, they have the courage, they live a spiritually principled life, and they bring those into not just like opportunities where they talk. They actually live it, you know? So I look for people with the light in their eyes. I look for people who treat people well, but not to be a saint or a do-gooder. It's just who they are. They have character. So my resources are people who have developed the inside, and because of it, the fruits have been developed also on the outside. So my number one resource is I look for other people that have definitely walked the path already, and then I listen. You know, if they're talking to me about what they've done in their life and what they've been through, I listen. I pray for an open mind. Could you help me listen? Could you help me be able to receive right now? You know, because that's the thing for me, is finding a balance in my life at this time between receiving and giving, because I give a lot. And what I've seen is that big shift and change was through others actually giving and me being open to receiving. So as far as a resource, I think for me, it's also been about that, which is being open to others instead of being like, I already know everything. I got this. I'm good to go. Thanks for, you know, advising me, but I'm going to go do my own thing. No, I listen, but then I take direction based on what they said they did. And then it's like this world is a big like petri dish. And I get to go out there and be like, all right, let's see what happens when you mix in, let's say, integrity, and you mix in love, and instead of things like fear or dishonesty. Like what happens when you start to mix that in the petri dish? Because they said they did it, and that's who they've become, and I'm really into what they've built. And now it's up to me to go and cultivate it. So it's the number one resource for me is other people.
Holy shit, that was a great answer. I thought it was going to be like, Tim Ferriss's podcast is a great resource.
You know what? They're all over the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in negativity, watching the news and all that. I'm like, yo, this world would blow up if all there was negativity on the planet. So I think there's actually more positivity. This is my belief. I think there's more positivity than negativity on the planet. And it's out there. It just depends if my eyes are open, if I can see and if I can hear. And if I'm awake and I'm aware and I'm conscious and I'm able to see others without judgment, I'm actually going to meet that person and they can become my resource, whether they have a big name and a big business and a Bentley and all that. It doesn't matter to me. I want to know who's inside behind all of that stuff.
That personally resonates quite a bit with me. That's my morning mantra, is like, I'm super receptive. I'm super receptive. It gets difficult when I'm busy. And before the podcast, we were just talking about how your work in this place, you know, it's difficult to work on extra things when you have bodies coming in through the door and people that you're getting to know on a personal level, and to be able to also be open in another way, I could imagine can get difficult sometimes when you just have so much going on.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming. You know, that's the part of being a coach, and then the added stresses of being a business owner. You know, I'm a small business owner, but for me, I've gone through a lot to be able to have something small. So instead of always looking at what I don't have, I try to focus on what I have and maximize it. And when it's time to go to the next step, I'll know. And that's, again, that receptivity. So in the meantime, no matter how overwhelming it gets, it's okay. It's okay, because I have other people that I actually connect with that are support. So when it gets overwhelming and it's like I feel like I'm just being, you know, drained, it's okay, because I'm able today to go to somebody else and be like, you know what, I'm having a really hard time right now. This is very difficult. I feel like the world is on my shoulders. The pressure is too much. I don't know what to do. I can't focus because there's so many things going on that I just can't even think straight, you know? So I think a lot of it has to do with me being able to be honest with myself and then go to that next step of asking for help. And that overwhelm and that stress, it's just like the pressure valve gets released. I find relief. So people, that's what, again, it's just coming back to that question you had. It's just so important for me to have supportive people. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, I don't have 10,000 square feet. I have, it says on the lease 11,000, but let's keep it real. It's 1,000 square feet as I assess here. I don't care how small or how big. It's about the quality. So for me, that's what I try to do, is what other people have done for me and how they've helped me, whether it's coaches I get to work with or it's somebody new coming through the door. That's the environment that I always craved that I wasn't getting out in commercial corporate fitness gyms. I wasn't finding it. Worked at one time. It was cool to like go in with my little skimpy shirt and my big buff muscles and go in there and, you know, do the thing, get the tan, the protein shake and all that. But then it wore out. It didn't do for me what it used to do for me. And now I'm going around the city and I'm traveling and commuting, going to people's houses. I wore that out. Commuting's not my thing. I'm sitting in a car. That's like sitting in a music studio. It's not my jam, you know? And then I went and I built this whole structure for another luxury residence in this city for 4 years and did really well. But I was like, I'm cultivating that. I'm cultivating a supportive environment, an uplifting environment. Environment where it doesn't matter where you come from, it's all inclusive. And I was doing that for them, but they were still sticking to the script as far as the corporate saw it. So it stopped working. I wore it out. But that's what I try to cultivate here. Other people showed me unconditional love. And I'm just doing my best on a daily basis to give that back with anybody who walks through that door. And that doesn't mean everybody's going to like me. Matter of fact, a lot of people probably won't like me. But that's none of my business. I just keep doing what I'm doing one day at a time. What's in front of me now? What's in front of me now? What's in front of me now? Okay, do this thing, do this thing. And with 1,000 square feet, I hope when people walk in here, they feel love. I hope they feel all the time and the energy that I've spent in here honing my craft to be of better service. And I hope they feel that same experience, whether it's me or one of the coaches I've had the great opportunity to work with. I hope that's what they feel. And that's, I think, the shift in this market that I want to bring to the table. I think a lot of people are tired. They just don't have anywhere else to go. So they fall back into that old corporate gym setting with the loud music they're not really down with all the machines they're not really down with. They just don't know what to do. So I think it's up to us as coaches to start stepping into that role. Like, that's just who I am anyway. I don't have to play a role. I'm going to bring that role to the table, which is, let's disrupt the industry, just like Uber did with taxis, but let's do it with the fitness industry, and let's give people more, because when someone comes in here, when I go to bed at night, I feel good because I gave them more value than what they pay me. I don't charge people out the wazoo. Like, I swear to God, I don't want to cheat myself and I don't want to cheat you. That's how I look at business as far as money and whatnot, finances, and same with paying coaches. Like, you got to put in the work. I've put in the work. To have this studio, I was up the street for about 1.5 years, 600 square feet, sleeping on the floor for 1.5 years, going to LA Fitness to get a shower every morning before I took on clients. Then I was able to come down here. I built a loft and I built a shower in there. And I was able to sleep up there and have a little smoothie station. And now I had a shower in this place. So I know the sacrifices that I've had to go through. And that's how I say, all right, if a coach wants to come on board, I know what I've gone through. You're going to have to go through the same thing. But guess what? I'm going to help you out so you don't have to make the same mistakes and hit the same pitfalls and ditches along the way, but you're still going to have to do the work. You're still going to have to sacrifice. If I just gave it to them all and said, here you go, you get $1,000 per client, have fun with that, they're not going to grow. All the hardships, all the challenges, all the difficulty that I've gone through has just made me better at what I do, which that doesn't mean, oh, I get more accolades. No, that means I'm able to help people better. So when they come in here and they're not satisfied with what's going on out there anymore, they show up and they're like, okay, I don't know what this is, but something's going on. Like, I want to do this. What do you do? And then we just take off like a rocket ship.
What's up, everybody? Jessica here.
So first off, congrats to listener Larry, who won last month's Fitness Industry Night giveaway sponsored by Onnit. He won a pair of Captain America bumper plates. So have fun with those, Larry. Now we're in March. Oh my God, this year is flying by, people. Our friends at Yes Onnit again, they're giving one of you an Ironman kettlebell weighing in at 40 pounds. All you have to do to win is go to our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and just leave your name and email on the entry form. And basically, we just let you know if you won or not at the end of the month. It's pretty simple. For extra entries to win, you can email me a screenshot of a review you left us on iTunes. Actually, last month's winner, Larry, did that. You can share the contest on Facebook, Twitter, or email it to a friend. We're making it as easy as possible to share the love and also win free stuff. Also on our website, you can find a video version of all of our VIP interviews like the one you're listening to right now, and a bunch of other resources we've come across that's made a big impact on our careers and of our friends' careers as well. That's it for me. Super short commercial. Enjoy the rest of the show, everybody, and thanks so much in advance for your reviews and your support. A couple weeks ago, we did a summit for the toolkit, and one of our talks was on branding yourself. And I was having a really hard time. So there's 6 types of brands that you can have. And I was having a really hard time trying to identify somebody in the fitness industry that showed heart, like the heart brand. And I think he's sitting right here now, finally, I was like, I'm having a hard time. There's the humor brand, there's the leader brand.
That's not me. I'm too damn serious. I'm trying to learn though. I'm looking for lessons on how to be funny, but
you're funny.
I haven't found that yet.
Yeah, but that's cool. So, I mean, I can say walking into this place, just with the smell of the incense and the lighting is so nice. It's like, it feels like a spa. It's really nice.
Thank you.
And in a tangible sense, it's an empty room, you know, but it feels so full of something, and I don't know what it is necessarily, but I can imagine that when people walk, out of a busy ass road out there into this, they're like, oh yeah, this feels like a happy place. And gyms these days I don't know if they've ever felt like this for me, but very rarely will I walk into a gym and feel like it's a spa and I want to go there to relax and like grow. And maybe relax is the wrong word, but maybe relax my mind or something.
Yeah.
I mean, fitness went into the direction of trying to be super serious. As you talk about like your education and where you felt it was a shortcoming as you as a person that you didn't go and pursue that. And then fitness really went in this like, oh, I have this exercise science degree and I went and have this master's and I'm a sports scientist, which is great. They're like, those are awesome to have. I don't have one either. But then it went like super serious in the programming and kids who are training Grandma Betty are like, okay, you got to hit your 82%, 85%, 87% on your back squat. And then we're going to do our rear foot elevated split squats. And then God forbid you were having a bad day and work sucked and you're in there dragging, you showed up late to your session. And that trainer is so... And they do it because they're prideful and they want their client for the best, and that's the important thing to remember. But they get on that client for like, Cody, you were late again, and it's like, yeah, I got fired and my wife left me today, but I came here because it's the best damn thing in my life is to spend that hour with you. And even though I'm a half hour late, I chose to do that instead of going and drinking at the bar or anything. And when you're on the industry side versus like a collegiate setting, and maybe collegiate's this way too. But the value you get to install into everybody's life and the connection that you get to have with each and every person is so powerful because it's such different walks of life, right? If you were in a collegiate setting, it's such a different atmosphere, or even at a 24-hour fitness where it's in a major area, you got 20,000 square feet and all these other trainers. Whereas here it's like, exactly a personification of who you are and what you're trying to do. And that's install the ability. Fitness is just the avenue that we're getting to making sure that you're happier on the inside. Yeah. Because that's what it was for you.
Absolutely.
And I think that once again, I think off that, it's like people will get too serious in their program. And not that programming's not something to be taken seriously. And I think
it's awesome.
It's very awesome.
Fun.
Like
that's the craft. Probably a big part of it. Yeah.
But it's also like, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way, it's the easy part. Like learning how to do a squat and teaching someone how to do a squat, like that's the easy part of this business, hands down. Writing a program, an easy part of this business. The connection and being able to fulfill lasting relationships, even if they're not always financially driven, that's the hard part. And I think that's where people get burnt out or they just don't know how to completely develop a business, right? Because it's not just about you getting to buy 10 sessions from me today. It's about me wanting to come back day in, day out, year in, year out. And like, I can't even picture my life without you. Yeah. Not that I couldn't go work out by myself if I moved away or whatever, but that God, I value and cherish that time with you so much that no matter what, I'm going to find a way to make that happen. Yeah. And I think that that's really special. And I think it's something that's starting to really come around in the fitness market where coaches are really taking a deeper look at how well they communicate with their clients and the community that they're building. And it's really starting to make some positive impacts in the market, no matter what size you are.
Yeah.
So, but I love that you shared the story, and that was what I was really hoping. I wasn't sure if you would share it, but there's a loft right over here that he built to sleep on, and had a little smoothie station, and I talk about that in the ebook, in the pricing section, about if you're working for someone else and understanding the journey that they went on, and being able to hear his journey is like, oh my gosh, like, I fell into fitness and things were always they've moved pretty well, to be honest. From the very beginning, they've moved pretty quickly, and I've had a lot of success early in. Doesn't mean they weren't shitty years, but I wasn't sleeping on a gym floor to make it, right? I was only in this industry because I was making it. And the minute I wasn't making, out of just like, I'll do something different, right? But like a lot of people, I think, look at fitness as a potential, like almost like a server job. Like, oh, I'm in shape, or I like to work out. I'll just do that till I find my next gig.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially here, there's a lot of, people doing the acting thing. And
Yeah.
No digs on them. I'm just saying, it's make your mind up time. Like,
Yeah.
if you really want to give to somebody, it starts here, and if I'm doing multiple things and being drawn in different directions, how much energy am I going to really be able to bring to the table for that person?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important that people really start to see that, this is your passion. This is your livelihood.
My life, dude.
Right. It's not just about like, oh, you're cashing checks and driving your Benz or whatever it is. Right. But that it's truly, and I hate saying the faux pas of like, I wake up every day and not, I never work a day in my life because I love my job so much. But it's important to remember that, like, for some people, like, finding this direction and something they're really passionate about and something that they're personally fulfilled with, right? I'm passionate about fitness, but doesn't mean I'm necessarily fulfilled by coaching people. I mean, I am, but like, it doesn't mean that others aren't. And I think that that's so powerful to be able to share that. And I'm grateful that young, old, whoever they are, coaches can hear, because inevitably we all got into this in some capacity to help people, but we lose track of that because I've got to hit so many sessions. I've got rent due. I want to buy this new piece of equipment. I want to go to this cert. I want to go out to dinner. I want to get engaged, all these things. And it all stems from what's in this room. And it makes you lose track of those things that are really important to you, which inevitably will drive you towards success anyway, by staying true to that.
Yeah.
How hard was it to, you're in LA. LA and New York are the fitness markets, right? They are the fitness. I mean, you have everything in competition. It's not even that you're up against 24-hour fitness. You're up against the new hot, sexy Peloton and yoga Lottie, spin, beer yoga, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And there's everything here. How was it for you getting up and going? Because that wasn't without sacrifice either, to build this into something where you can go to certs and you can put a rig in here and build a shower. Like, tell us about that journey.
It's been all about relationships. Like, I haven't been a marketer and big into like advertising and all of that. It's been word to mouth. One person talking to another person about the experience that they've had, the transformation and the changes that they've gone through, how they've benefited by it. So it's been all about relationships for a really long time. I'm stepping more into putting it out there, but that hasn't been the way I've gone about it at all. So for me, it's other people, spreading the word, so to speak. There's a lot of competition in this city. I've been the strange guy. I didn't fit in a lot of those studios once I started, moving a different direction with my craft. And that was the thing that I saw. I was like, the atmosphere is not really fitting for when the clients are coming to me for the things that I'm giving them, and we're in this other, environment. So that's what drove me to be like, all right, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to create the thing that I know inside of me is what's there to do. Let's just go do it now. So the competition, I don't know. I don't look at competition. I think, of course, this is one of the meccas, but it's mecca for mainstream fitness. I'm not mainstream fitness. Yeah. If people are tired of that, because that's what happened with me. I got tired of it. A year and a half into working at that 24-hour fitness, doing it that way, doing, functional fitness, what they called it at that time, which was a mix of whatever that was plus bodybuilding. Dude, I was like, if this is all this is about, I'm done.
Yeah.
Even as a trainer, I'm like, if this is it, I'm out. Like, even working out got to the point where I'm like, I'm not into it. Just going in 6-7 days a week and just pumping iron. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I'm totally down. I think bodybuilding and that modality, that method is the best at what it does. But for me, I did it, you know, from like, let's say 16 or 18, somewhere around there, all the way till I was 25. And what shifted was I got in a car accident at 25, and that was a year and a half into working at that 24-hour fitness. I was already having those thoughts of like, dude, I'm tired of training like this. This is so boring. It's the same. How many ways can I pump my bicep? How many different angles can I hit for my triceps? How many different angles can I hit my quads? Or, you know, it's like, that's not fun after a point. So I got in that car accident, and then that's when I was just like, I can't even do this anymore. It started causing pain, and all the injuries from snowboarding, which if you fall and you're going 50, 60 feet in the air, whether you're in the backcountry landing in powder, if you fall, you're getting in a car accident.
Yeah.
It's whiplash straight up. So my spine was riddled with issues going on underneath, and all that training started to actually bring them out. And I was like, this isn't working on many levels. And then I guess the car accident made up my mind. And that's when I shifted. But I was trying to walk into these other people's houses, so to speak. And it wasn't my jam. So the competition, I don't even look like, there's nobody out here in LA doing what we do. There's nobody here doing what we do. The size of the studio, how many people come here, like I want to reach more people, right? But I want to maximize this space before we go anywhere because I want to give quality work. That's so important to me. So as far as competition, yeah, there's a lot of people, but they're just doing the same old thing. And I know people are tired because when they come here, they're like, oh, I did this thing, I'm just over it. Or, oh, I did this thing and I got injured. And it's like, let's go deeper. And I think it's up to us as coaches to go deeper first, be our own guinea pig, get in those trenches, make all the mistakes so that they don't have to go through them. And now I can reach them with where they're at, however they're coming in, even if they want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Right? Even if they want to build muscle, it's all good. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then over time, we'll start digging in a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper, and we'll have those light bulbs go off and that paradigm shift take place. So I'm all good, bro. Like it is what it is. They can do whatever, yoga, Pilates, Zumba, you know, your usual gym stuff. It's all good. I love it actually, because there's one that opened up down the street, and then there's another one that opened up down the street, and then another one that opened up. So in the past 4.5 years, there's been like, even on this street right here, there's like 4 or 5 gyms now.
I love it.
Whether it's, you know, your usual Bally's or something, or CrossFits and all of that stuff. It's all good, dude. And I hope that we can start to connect. I hope it's not me against them. I hope it's not them against me. And I've gone through that stuff in the fitness industry. I'm so over it. I think it's like, what can I bring to the table? What can you bring to the table? And what can we do together? I think it's time for that. And that's how we actually got to know each other a little bit now.
Yeah. And I do think people like you and are really setting that trend. And that's our concept of Fitness Break Room, is that fitness is about community across the board. And a CrossFitter could learn how to come and move in multiplanar ways, and it's going to help them be a better CrossFitter. Or maybe your girl or guy that's crushing Orange Theory and Zumba 6 days a week might, you know, enjoy something a little bit different, right? And it's like, none of them are training to be Olympic athletes. And even then, if I'm training an Olympic athlete, they probably get a pretty regressed version of what I would give some like general person that just wants to get their ass kicked, right? That person wants to get their ass handed to him. The Olympic athlete, I'm like, yeah, you still have to go to practice. Like, I can't kick the shit out of you. Like, that's not the point, right? I'm just here to help preventative care. How did you get into this, the unconventional, the clubs, the kettlebells, body weight stuff? Like, how did you find that?
It was that car accident.
Okay.
You know, that was my turning point. Nobody taught me nobody even mentioned the word longevity. Like, that wasn't even in my vernacular. It was like, no pain, no gain. Now I guess they call it go beast mode. It is what it is. But that car accident was my wake-up call. And I remember one of my buddies who actually started coaching me early on, Mark Wildman. He was bringing kettlebells into the gym that we were at that time, and then he was swinging clubs. And I just started asking him, I was like, what are you doing, man? That's different. And at that time, I was in quite a bit of pain, and I wanted to keep training. And I started just going and hanging out with him while he trained his clients. And that's when I learned about the works of Pavel. And then I also learned about the works of Scott Sonnen. And they were talking about, you know, flexible steel with Pavel. And then I heard about mobility. And those were things I never considered, because I could go to a gymnastics class, but I wasn't doing the flexibility work. I'm just jumping on the trampoline so I can learn how to take that to the snowboard. Like, I wasn't down with stretch class. I'm like, what are they doing? That's weird. Like, you would clown on it, right? now it is so important for me to first start with cleaning the slate. That's where I start with everybody. We're going to assess your joints. I've been blessed to be able to go and study through Andrea Ospina and Dr. Shivers as well, for FRC and for FRA. And that's what I was on it for, was that FRA. And I've been doing it for years, and there's these different approaches to mobility, and I like them all, and I use them in different ways at different times. But that cleaning the slate thing is so important to me, because if I have dysfunctional joints, right, and I'm going to go do functional training, I'm bringing my dysfunctional joints into the functional training. So I'm stacking the training on top of the dysfunctional joints, which means it's going to equal more dysfunction, especially over time. And I think for me, going through pain early on, feeling like I was 90 by the time I was 18, it just was like, dude, I have to do this. There's no kind of maybe gray area. I have to be all in. So I went deeper into understanding this is no fun. And I need to, lost my train of thought there. Where was I going?
You were going with the idea of...
the different ways of using mobility and all of that. So to bring it back, because my mind goes a million miles an hour, I think it's super important for me to start understanding like what these joints are capable of. And that was when I was introduced to things like prerequisites. Like if I have dysfunctional joints and I go to yoga, I'm bringing it to yoga or CrossFit, or even coming in here and working with kettlebells or doing, working with clubs. It doesn't matter. To me, if that's what's coming into it, it's not going to equate that very important thing to me, which is longevity. So we have longevity, we have well-being, we have resilience, right? And to me, I really like the mobility approach, because we can start tapping into also managing stress. And I live in a very busy city. It's a rat race. People have a lot going on. And if it's just workout, well, that's cool for the first couple months. And then you plateau, and then you get to the other side of it, and it's diminishing returns. That's where, illness and disease starts to take hold, and then it's injuries or pain, aches, and injuries, right? So I would like to help people get off that merry-go-round that I was on, and that's where we go. We go right into first cleaning the slate and making sure you have the prerequisites to do the things you want with the gymnastic rings or the rig or the kettlebells or the clubs or just body weight training.
Yeah. And
I hope that answers your question.
No, it does.
I got
absolutely.
lost a little bit there.
It's because people want to associate value that they're one thing or another, right? I'm in the bodybuilding world. I'm a CrossFitter. I'm an unconventional. I'm a on it person. I'm an animal flow person. Yet this idea of wiping the slate clean to reset yourself and really understand where others are coming from. It doesn't disvalue the barbell. You have a barbell sitting here. I'm guessing it doesn't get used a ton.
Yeah, it's over there.
It's over there, but it doesn't, there's a time and a place for it. And as, you guys are starting to carve out who you guys are in the industry, it's okay to attach value to being strong or being a kettlebell person or whatever it is, but you should also respect the journey of where others are coming from as well. And you don't know what that could bring to you. And for me, getting to on it and meeting John Wolf, wiped my slate clean, and Shane as well. And just because I came from the powerlifting, Olympic lifting, go hard, go heavy, which was great. And it fulfilled me for a really long time. And then now it's it's fun because I can still go do it, but it doesn't fulfill me the same way that it did before. But wiping the slate clean, that's been the common theme in your life. It's happened, what, 5 times?
Quite a bit.
And it's been really powerful just to hear every single time I hear this story of how you got to where you are now. I hope, and I know you do, but when you walk into your gym or you walk into your job, taking an immense amount of pride in it, what it took for you to get here, to be able to sit and do this and share space with someone else, because I've got a car, I've got food on the table, I've got clothes to wear today. And those weren't always avenues that you always got to relish in.
Yeah.
And then you get to deliver it through something that you love, like fitness, and that you get to deliver, helping someone else change internally. Yeah. Right? This is just the avenue. You could be a therapist, you could be a food counselor, you could be whatever it is, but this is the avenue that you chose to be able to share that journey with.
A lot of gratitude.
Yeah.
On your point, Sam, of when you walk into your business or you walk into your gym, you want to feel really proud and have a lot of pride in what you've created. And in my experience from working with a lot of gym owners who don't feel that sense of pride, I found that the disconnect is in their brand, in that they looked at too many data points and what the culture of bodybuilding or of CrossFit as a great example, because there's a very distinct CrossFit culture that has this sense of intensity and beast mode, but the gym owner himself is not an intense beast mode kind of guy, you know? So we found that don't attach yourself necessarily to the culture that's been predetermined for you by whatever's been working for other people, because that's when you wake up and you look around, you're like, how did this happen? This isn't me at all. And that's when I found that some of my guys start to get a little bit like disenchanted with their business. And so if I could give all of you listening any advice from my experience and just chatting with you, it seems that really understanding yourself it seems like the foundation that you should build upon, not follow your passion, build, and then figure yourself out along the way. Of course, you're always going to be figuring yourself out. That never ends.
Never ending story.
But wow, what a great opportunity. What a great foundation to build your life upon, which is like you know, your business is a personification of yourself. And if you wake up one morning and it's not you, then you might have to start over. That's what I'm dealing with some people.
Yeah. And starting over is okay.
Totally.
It's all
sometimes that's
good.
fun too.
Yeah. I've started over many, many times, you know, lots of different transformations. I welcome it today, you know, because if this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing and it's supposed to be something else, okay, let's go. Let's step into the unknown, which is a lot of times it's been easier said than done, right? You know, the unknown could bring up a lot of fear, but that is going to be another opportunity for me to grow as a person, which is like, all right, let's go. Because I've had to face a lot of what my mind has told me and tried to beat me down with, oh, you failed. Oh, you failed. And that happens if I start comparing myself to other people based on their outsides. So it's like I just stay in my lane. It's like I have blinders on, or how I did it, you know, before even this came about. It was like, well, everyone's, you know, because I did my partying. You know, I was done by the time I was 23. I'm done. And I went backwards, you know, so I had to start over and start late. So some people were taking off at 23 and I'm starting fresh, right? But I just put those blinders on. And while everyone's going out having a good time and, you know, tearing up the city or whatnot, I'm staying true. I'm staying true to the thing that I would like to do as far as share my gifts with others, which is to continue to do the research, continue to connect and reach out to other people, and just continue to come in and try to help people on a daily basis. So I welcome it more and more today, becoming, you know, more comfortable with what looks to be a mistake or a failure. But if I trace it back, all the mistakes that I thought I've made that I even beat myself up over have turned out to be the most beautiful things in my life.
Great. Love that. I'm interested to know, when you started this gym 4 years ago and you had another, you know, clean slate, how did you actually get people in here? You said you're not a marketer, but what was your method of just spreading the word?
Well, I was at that 600 square foot space up the street, and I don't know. I mean, what I encourage the coaches that I work with that want to, you know, start building their clientele, what I did is, like I said, it was all about relationships. So I spent all my time on all the coffee shops and all the restaurants on this street. And because I didn't have a place to live, I went homeless. I put all my stuff in storage, gave away a beautiful apartment that I had that was on rent control, which is very important in Los Angeles to have rent control. If you can grab it, take advantage of it. But I didn't have a place to live, so my living quarters was that 600 square foot studio. So I spent all my time in those cafes, and I would just bring all my materials, my books, and everything to do programming. And if I'm training, you know, anywhere, let's say from 6 to 10 people a day, that requires a lot of back end work. So I did all my back end work sitting in these places and meeting the owners and meeting their kids. And then next thing, they want me to train their kids, or they want me to train them, and working out deals where they're like, yo, come to my restaurant. We'll give you food if we can come and train at your place. So those relationships were how I started to build a network of people that then they're like, yo, my buddy down the street, like I told him what you do, he wants to come in. Or so-and-so's wife heard about what you do, she wants to come in. So it was just about being on a continuous, consistent basis in anybody's shop that was open for me to go get a little coffee or food and just spend my time in there day in and day out. And you get to know people. But if you just go like one time and be like, oh, I'm going to go network, like that wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't to go network. I think that's shallow for me. I'm not into networking. I'm into connecting. And how I did that was by going back and sitting in that place, being the guy that doesn't know anybody in there, until I was able to say hi to this person, and then I see them next week and I say hi. Now it turns into a conversation. I get to learn about them, they learn about me, and the next thing you know, it turns into somebody wanting to come in and, get your services. So I think spending time close by whatever facility you are working at.
That's similar to your strategy back when you were a trainer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just went to bars and
meet up with people, and you call yourself not a networker. That's networking. I mean, like, you might not call it networking in terms of,
I don't like the word.
I don't have a hello, my name is, and nice to meet you, and I'm passing out business cards and just whoring them out.
Yeah.
But that is networking in its purest form, right? And networking to me is, it's not just about going and meeting a bunch of people. It's about being thought of later, right? So to be someone who's good at networking, and I'm as extroverted and socially high bandwidth as they get, but it wouldn't mean anything if no one thinks of me later, right? But like, every time, someone goes to a conference and I come back, on Monday morning, I've got 30 emails like, hey, Sam, I put you in touch with this person, hope it's cool. And it's like, I'll take their call every time, even if I don't think there's anything real going on. But continuously, that person keeps like introducing me to people, because my name obviously keeps coming up in conversation. That's where it's like, okay, because if someone's willing to put their reputation on the line to introduce you to someone they know, right, then it's like, okay, I'm willing to bet things on that now, right? And it's just how you treat people, right? Because a financial arrangement may never happen between you and I, or us, or you and that, or whoever it is, but that doesn't disvalue the relationship at all.
It's about this.
Yeah.
It's about the friendship. All the other stuff, if that happens, great. But shooting angles on people and trying to manipulate people to get things means I'm still a taker, which means I'm selfish. And for me, one of my goals in life is to become as selfish as selfless. It's a tongue twister. As to become as selfless as possible, because selfishness has caused me a lot of pain. So the thing you call networking or whatnot, it's like, it's building friendships.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, happens. And I'm not planning and plotting.
Right.
It's just, let's go with the flow. Let's do this, and who knows where it's going to go. It's fun like that.
I think hopefully this is a resonating lesson for a lot of you watching, listening, whatever avenue you're going through this, that to get into this industry, especially, like, a lot of people, let's say they do go through the school route and they go and get their fancy bachelor's and their exercise science and master's degree, but they get out and they're like, oh shit, I have all this knowledge. Like, my friend Eric Dannenberg came from, he's at Exos, and he's like, networking is never something that's brought up, or continuing education, or community. He's like, it should be, but that's never brought up through school, right? And a lot of our audience is also, I'm an accountant and I'm in a place in my life where I'm really unhappy and I want to quit my job and become a trainer because it's something I'm very passionate about. Or I just went through a major life transformation and fitness was an avenue. Now I want to pursue that and give that back to other people. Or they came from school and they're trying to get into it because inevitably they want to help people. And I think it doesn't get harped on enough, and I don't mean it to sound negative, but it doesn't get brought up enough that the journey that someone went through and the ability to connect with people is the real hero of fitness kind of going forward, right? And if you ever read, Mark Mason's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah, I did. That was funny.
Yeah, it was funny. But I really love that it was just like, value the journey that where you got to, not the end result of like, oh, I have a goal of having a 20,000 square foot gym. Like, that's great.
So hard, right?
That's a great goal, right? But don't disvalue the journey that you went through to sleep in a fucking loft that you built because you happen to do construction for a few odd jobs. So you learned how to do it and finally put your own shower in your gym. And like, that's the beauty of like, when you do open that 20,000 square foot, whatever, gym you do open up again or whatever happens next, it's like, oh, like that's memorable.
Yeah.
I keep pointing to it because I can look at it and see it. But
that's it right there.
Right.
That's
but it's
the
like,
bedroom, bro.
It's the magic room right
With
there.
the ladder that goes
where?
up the side of the wall. You see the steps? I built them into the side of the shower.
I see. Okay.
And then you have the
That's
thing at the
cozy.
top. It slides. The handle just fell off actually a couple weeks ago. I used it too many times, but it slides open, and then the bed was on the other side of that wooden little
That's
wall.
super cozy.
This would be a sweet loft. If you turn this into if it wasn't a gym, it would be a loft. You just extend that floor out and it's got your master looking down right here.
We could do some things. Yeah.
So for you is, what's the next step for you in your evolution, right? You got your gym, you're doing great. You're really focusing on you, really a newfound focus on your body, with Spina and Shivers being able to find some solutions for the pain that you're experiencing in your neck and your spine, I think has really opened up some possibilities for you. I mean, just being
Absolutely.
at that seminar with you, you were like, fuck, how many years I've been going to
So many
clinicians
different
to like get
things.
out of pain.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I swear to God, Shivers was like, oh yeah, cool. And you're like, what the fuck just happened? I don't understand what just happened to me. But what's the next thing for you on the horizon?
The goal, which I've helped a lot of people achieve, and it's just been lingering in, the kind of background for me, which is to be pain-free. That's my number one goal as far as me personally, physically. I want to be pain-free. I've been in pain for 9 years. I was saying earlier, I've had to go out and study and pay the ultimate price, which is I've been able to help people in those ways through the modalities that I've been able to learn and apply. And they've found great results in that realm. But I've always, had this issue going on after that car accident. But I didn't have somebody forking the bill. So I had to go out and, like you said, continuing education has been huge. And I've traveled to this place, to that place, study under this person and that person. But now it's time to start taking care of myself even more. I just haven't been able to pull back at all because I've had to be full on in order to build even this little baby of a business, a startup business. And it takes time. It takes a lot of hard work. It's taken every part, every aspect of me from the inside out. And so I'm dedicating my time right now to that. So I'm not training at all. It's been about 5 months. I'm 80% better compared to what I've tried to do in the past 9 years, which is spend tens of thousands of dollars and just get pain-free for like 2 days or whatever. And it's been the thing I haven't talked a lot about. It's been very depressing in the corners of my mind. It's really affected me on an emotional level. And it's not about, like I was saying, it's not for sympathy. That wasn't the thing. I don't really need to go and put that out there. But now I want to share that and put that out there in case somebody else is going through that and they're a coach or they're an up-and-coming coach. And it's like this little secret you don't want people to know, because what you do is you help people with mobility. You help them get out of pain, yada, yada. So you feel like a bit of a phony and a fraud. So if you're already coming from childhood with a lot of like doubt and disbelief in yourself, and now you're going this realm, and that's one of the benefits, and you're experiencing it. It's been a real challenge the past 9 years as far as going deeper, but that pain has been my greatest gift. It's the thing that got me out of the traditional setting of fitness, and that pain is the thing that rocketed me in a new direction. So it was a gift and a curse, right? So on the gift side of it, which is amazing, I've been able to go so much deeper into learning. I want to focus on first, number one, cleaning that stuff up. And at the same time, any of the joints that don't have the prerequisites for the things once I become pain-free and I'm all healed up and good to go back into training, I want to make sure that I have all those prerequisites so I can actually, say a year from now, 2 years from now, do things I wasn't able to do prior to, because I'd always have to stop. I'd get so far with ring work and then I'd just be in too much pain and I'd have to stop again, and then I could go study something else, whether it was clubs or kettlebells, do it, and then I'm in too much pain, I got to pull back. So what's interesting is that pain has been this limitation. I could only go so far, I could only do so much, and then I'd get shut down. So now I believe I can go further. So I'm sticking to the script. I'm working close with Dr. Shivers. He's up in Ontario, and he's just guiding me through the process of me doing my own active recovery through the principles of functional range conditioning. So if there is a coach out there that's experiencing that, it does get dark. It does become very challenging. It's all the thoughts of feeling fake, but I've stepped into it, and I think it's important to reach out and let people know what you're going through to get the help that you need. So that's the direction I'm going as far as me. But I just really want to work with coaches. Like, I love working with all the students I get to work with that come to Storey Fitness, and that's rad. I really love grooming coaches, man. I love seeing them come in and where they're at, and then say a year from now or 2 years from now, like Fanetta Hines, I'm working with her. We've been about 2.5 year project right now, getting her, in the realm as far as what we do, and just to see her grow. Like when I walk in here, like you're saying, talking about pride and stuff, like I'm just like tripping. I'm like who she was when I met her. She just came in, she wanted to do like an assistant job and, help with the back end and whatnot. And then she's like, maybe I could do that. And we did it, and we went all in. And just seeing her work with other people, I'm just like, I love that. That part of this business is incredible. And then we brought on another intern, Emily, right now, and she's going through the same process. And it's just it makes it all worth it when you see somebody be able to take care of themselves and share that. As far as Storey Fitness, I'm not looking for the 20,000 square feet. Like, that's not my jam. But I would love to have about 3,000 square foot space. I've already mapped it out. It's sitting on my wall right by my light switch in my office. I have the blueprint. I'm not an architect, but I created it. Just, that's it for me. Like, I like having a vision, but then it's just staying in the daily task, just one day at a time, doing the work for today, and let the vision and the dreams and all that just be out there, but not be wrapped up and consumed by it. So it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. And I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing because I've seen so many people's lives change from the inside out. I'm just going to this is what I'd be doing no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, I just happen to turn it into a business, but it's not my business. It's our business. It's a team. And that's what I'm building right now, is a team. And anybody else that wants to hop on board and be a part of this team and go deeper into their craft and have, you know, a lot of expertise around them and get to work with other people who are passionate going down that same path. That's what I'm all about. I want to cultivate that family, that team, that unit. Like you said, community, unity is what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, those plans to grow and expand and all that, they'll happen when they happen. I'm not tripping and I'm not worried about that.
I love it. I think that's such a genuine approach to this. And you have, you know, goal setting is something that's super hard.
Have the goals.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Like, it's all written out.
Yeah.
It's all mapped out, but they're there. Like, what am I doing today? Like, I'm all about long-term goals. 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And then that's what I'd like to see happen. But if I don't build inside of me the ability to actually handle that, it's never going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So let's go inside and let's do that internal work. So maybe it can be possible. And if it happens, cool. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. And if it changes directions, I'm down to go with the flow. We'll go that way if that's what is supposed to be done, if that's what's right.
Sorry, my mind keeps like spinning because I keep thinking, I'm like, okay, well, how can we help him deliver to coaches?
Sorry about that.
You're fine. Yeah, so I'm like trying to like go through the conversation here, but in my head I'm going, oh, what would be a good delivery for that? You know, from a way to help this audience and your audience, like how can we create an opportunity for coaches to level up, but not level up in terms of, there's a lot of continuing education. That's not the space you're trying to play in. And there's a lot of programming and everything out there. But you and obviously Shane have a history, but you and Shane are so similar in that. And it's such a story. And how can you define your narrative? Because as a coach, you know, it's one thing to be the shredded one or the loud one or the hot one, whatever it is. But like when you find real success is also when you're able to define your narrative and how you can share that and being confident in that. So I think there's a real opportunity within that as I'm trying to like think about it more. And I think that there's a reason why you came to FRA when it was in Austin to reconnect with all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
It was rad, dude.
Because I know like you and John have a very similar history. And I know that's probably something that you guys have been able to connect on, and Shane as well. So yeah, that's where, sorry, my mind just started like flipping around and like trying to process thought. As we start kind of wrapping up, you know, as we look at this, what's some advice you have? And this episode's had a ton of knowledge nuggets and a lot of emotion, to be honest, in it. What's a piece of advice you have for a new trainer looking to get into this industry that you can bestow upon them?
A piece of advice.
I know that's super hard because there's a lot of lessons you've been able to get hammered into you, hard and easy.
I could just share what I did, which was pray for the willingness, man. And willingness has nothing to do with what I want to do. But if I want to be able to have the life that I want to have, I got to be willing to do the work that it takes.
I love it.
You know, most people think...
It was. I was like, oh.
I'd put that on a shirt for sure.
Well, most people think it's like it's this by the book, step by step by thing. You do this and then you do this. And my experience has been very organic. As I've changed and have been able to take on more responsibility, the responsibility has been given. But if it didn't start first with me to be able to be responsible for myself and take care of myself, there would be no potential to grow. There would be no potential to do what I do today. So what I'd say is start with yourself and do your due diligence. Get in there, do the research, be your own guinea pig. Go as deep as you can go and try to be the best person that you can be and put yourself out there and be of service.
I love it. So how can people find you to maybe reach out for they need some help or they need some guidance and or just want to come in and work out at Storey Fitness?
Yeah. Let's see. StoreyFitness.com. That's my website. And then Cody Storey on Facebook. Also Storey Fitness business page on Facebook. And then Storey Fitness LA on Instagram, which seems to be the easiest way for people that are out of state to access me. And then we can start to, cultivate that relationship and see if there's something we can do together.
I love it. Thank you very much for joining us. It was a
man.
true honor to be here and share space with you every time. I just wish we got to do it more often.
Thank you so much, man. I'm
Group
grateful for both of you.
Oh, we can.
Oh, we
I was like,
love
you just turned
you.
straight for her.
It's like football helmets. Come
Right.
on. Yeah, man.
Just bump.
Thanks so much for having me out
Yeah.
and being able to do this with you too.
Thanks again for listening to the Fitness Break Room podcast, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Fitness Break Room. And if you're looking to enter our monthly fitness swag giveaway, you can visit our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and all that info's on the homepage. Hundreds of dollars worth of awesome stuff, so I wouldn't miss that. And then you can even subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and leave us a review if you're digging what we're bringing you. That would be awesome and very helpful. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Stay strong and always look out for the little guy.
I know you